Hello, BookTube. Well, as you can see, I'm still on vacation at the little farmhouse in Vermont. Frida and I are having a wonderful, wonderful time, especially since the weather forecast for this part of the world a few days ago was that we were going to be dealing with solid rain, and that has not happened. Instead, the weather's been gorgeous. And I have had luck. It's nice. One of the nice things when you have a bookish host is that you're guaranteed to go out book shopping, and so I did. And I have, as a result, a stack of books to show you, in addition to the stack of books that I showed you last time. So we're going to start with the paperbacks. We'll work our way down to the hardcovers. And the first one is, look at this. Look at how lovely this is. This is the Virago Classic paperbacks of Angela Thirkell. This is Pomfret Towers, which is all of her novels are very much of a muchness. They're all British country house fiction. And this one, the titular place, is a gigantic pile of a stately home. That it becomes the location. If I remember correctly, I read this as a little mass market probably 40 years ago. And Angela Thirkell is one of those writers I always think I should like more than I do. So I'm gonna try it again. What I wouldn't give the back of this paperback, of course, this was just a random find that you get at a thrift shop, but the back of the paperback has two other Virago classics of her that I would love to find. I'm hoping that happens, but I haven't read her in any systematic way. She wrote a ton of books, and I mean to get to it. So that's a nice thing about encountering these things in thrift shops when you don't go there ordinarily. And then I got a Penguin Classic. I got a Penguin Classic that did not come from Shugart Incorporated. This one is George and Whedon Grossmith. This is Diary of a Nobody. Their late Victorian era novel about Charles Pooter, who has a very high opinion of himself, but comes off in the course of this. This is a very delightful novel, and he comes off in the course of the novel as the world's biggest horse's patoot. And that's the thing; you're supposed to be laughing both with him and at him the whole time. And I don't think I have this on my gigantic Penguin wall. So finding a Penguin Classic was sort of it's always a hope when you go book shopping. And then this next one is something I strongly recommend. It is eloquent and incredibly interesting. But the only reason that I got it this time around is as a placeholder. I've mentioned on this channel before that sometimes I will see a book I know I want to have in a permanent collection, but I won't find it in the right format. And that's this. That's A Life in Our Times by John Kenneth Galbraith. This is his memoir, and it's amazingly good. But this is an old Ballantine trade paperback that I will get a reading out of this, but then it will fall apart. Even if I will reinforce this as soon as I get back to Hyde Cottage, but there's no way that this will survive. And when I saw this for dirt cheap at a charity, at a used bookstore, I realized how many times I have seen this in a new dust jacket as a new hardcover at the Brattle Bookshop in Boston. And I've just thought, you already have a copy, or, oh boy, was that good, I really enjoyed that, without the extra thought of, you need to get that and keep it. You don't have a copy and you need to get one. So I don't think I'll be keeping this, but I will reread it just until it falls apart. But it'll be a reminder for me to get the next hardcover that I see at the Prattle. And then this next one is contemporary fiction, but which ought to dispel the idea that's still persistent in some circles that I don't like contemporary fiction. That is not true. I like a lot of contemporary fiction. This is an oldie but a goodie. It was a massive hit, made its author independently wealthy for the rest of his life. And this is The Art of Fielding by Chad Harbach, who is de rigueur not smiling in his author photo. And this is I thought it was fantastic. I got a galley copy of it even before it made it big, and I thought it was just incredible. From all the baseball talk, this is a baseball novel, and you would think that would be a deal breaker right there, but no, I loved the baseball talk. But not only that, but also the depiction of small town college life and the gay subplot, and there's a family that disintegrates, and there's a horrific accident that happens. The horrific accident that happens actually starts off the action of the book. And it's just amazing. I thought it was all amazingly well done. The linchpin piece of action, there's this star pitcher, this phenomenal young pitcher whose fastball is just unbelievable. He is clearly destined for the big leagues. And at one point during one game, his fastball, he winds up, He gets it all ready. He knows what he's going to do. He pours on the heat, and the pitch misfires into the dugout at 115 miles an hour. And that all it takes is that. I'm thinking somewhere along the line, Jared Harbaugh probably saw something like that happen. But this is the trade paperback, and it has blurbs all over the place, including from someone named Sam Sachs at the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if he's any good, but he calls it engrossing. So we'll give it a try. I want to have this, and I want to have it as a trade paperback. I don't need a big, bulky hardcover of it. Then this next one is Christopher Benfey, who's done a couple of freelance book journalism pieces that I've seen lately in like Harper's or the London Review of Books, and they've reminded me how much I like his writing. And this is a book of his that I don't think I've ever read. It's A Summer of Hummingbirds, and the long subtitle is Love, Art, and Scandal in the Intersecting Worlds of Emily Dickinson, Mark Twain, Harriet Beecher Stowe, and Martin Johnson Head. Just a little thing from Penguin. I don't think I've ever read this. And so that's an extra joy when you use book shopping, especially when you're doing it on vacation, is to find something that you are genuinely interested in that you haven't heard of before. It doesn't happen all that often with me. Ordinarily, I'm buying doubles, or I'm buying things like, doesn't that look like fun? And this next one is a double. I love these Penguin trade paperbacks of John le Carré. This I got Our Kind of Trader, which is classic le Carré, because it starts out with a minor inciting incident and then sprawls all over the world. There are like 15 locations, exotic locations, in the course of this one book, and they're all wonderfully evoked. So, and I like this reissue run on John le Carré. I have a couple now. I'm just going to wait for happenstance and get them all, as opposed to ruining the spell of it and just getting them all on Book Depository. They're all there. I'm just not going to do that. This next one is another gamble. This next one is another thing that I had no idea about. I'd never heard of this before. This is by Jeffrey Gerard, and it's called Project Kane. But you also get the sequel, Kane's Blood. This is a flip book of a type that pulp science fiction used to do all the time. And I guess, feel free to sound off in the comments field if you have read either one of these books, but I guess the premise is that our teenage main character discovers in the course of the first book that he is actually a cloned artificial life form patterned on a serial killer, patterned on Jeffrey Dahmer. And it turns out in the course of the two books that the institute that made him made lots of other people also patterned after famous serial killers. So that premise was fascinating enough for me to just grab this thing because it was dirt cheap. All these things were dirt cheap. This next one, I love the trade paperback format, so I grabbed it. I have bad history with this author. I have never understood the acclaim this author has. Never. I've read everything, and all of it has just baffled me why anyone would like it at all. And so I'm going to try it again. I periodically try again with authors like that. This is John Fowles. I got his book, The Magus, which is widely regarded as his best book, and it's in this big trade paperback that just has no fault at all. It just has the author's photo on the back. I'm going to try it again. I figured if I see this at a little strip mall used bookstore, then that is the fates telling me I really need to try this again. So I will. And then we go to the hardcovers. And the first hardcover is nonfiction. This is Charles Ogburn's The Winter Beach, where he's a terrific prose writer, just in fiction or nonfiction. His novels, I think he wrote more than one. I've read one novel of his, and it was really good. And they're never coming back. But The Winter Beach is, he starts in northern Maine and travels down the coast, the eastern coast of the United States. He goes from northern Maine all the way down to the Outer Banks. And I remember, the reason I remember this book, the reason that I fell in love with it in the first place is because the chapter on Cape Cod and the chapter on Nantucket are both fantastic. But it's been a while since I read the whole thing. And here it is in a nice dust jacket and everything. Just I would have grabbed that at the Brattle. That was kind of my yardstick this time around, was when I saw something was, would I have grabbed that if it were at the Brattle bookshop? Because you don't, when you're on vacation, especially when you're having a fantastic time, your judgment, your self-preservation tends to go away. How many of you know that, where you go on vacation, you come back with that toy or that shirt or that whatever, and you once you get back to the cold and sober confines of your home, you're thinking, what was I thinking? I don't want this. I try to control that, and the way I do is by looking at a book and thinking, if this were on the Brattle dollar cards, would I take it? And so the Winter Beach definitely counts. This next one too, this is another contemporary novel, just so that, once again, so that you remember, I don't dislike contemporary fiction. This is by Philip Hensher, who I don't think gets the credit that he deserves, especially across the pond, especially in America. This is the Northern Clemency, about a family that moves to Northern England right at the beginning of the Thatcher era. And there's a young boy who is the main protagonist of the book, and he is wonderfully drawn. The family is wonderfully drawn, and also the particular brittleness of the Thatcher era that's just dawning. You can sense that a little in The Line of Beauty by Alan Hollinghurst, and you get a lot more of it in this book. I really liked it. I've never read a Philip Hensher book that I didn't like. And then this next one is a response to a freelance piece that I saw a long time ago. I wish I could remember who wrote it. I will find out, because I'll want somebody to print it out so I can put it in this book. Somebody made a case in some literary journal not that long ago, probably 3 years ago, or maybe even shorter than that. Somebody made a case for the literary value of the journals of John Cheever. Not his big signature red volume of short stories, but the journals that his estate put out. Somebody made a case that they are incredibly literary. And the minute I read the article, it was like a penny dropped, and I realized, oh, wait, I did really like that. Of course, I read them when they first came out, and then I got rid of it because I was thinking of fiction. But I remember thinking, oh, yeah, I did really like those. I would like to reread them. And I just assumed that the Brattle would provide. I was certain that I would see it there the next time I went. It's been all this time, and I haven't. But I found them today. I found the Journals of John Cheever today in a hardcover that looks like it had never been touched. It looks brand new. So I will find that article wherever it is. If I remember and I can find it successfully, I'll put a link to it down below. But I'm going to reread that and then reread the journals. And this next one is also, all these hardcovers are rereads. This next one is a political book, and I read it and I really liked it, and then I got rid of it, probably to a political junkie of some kind or other. And so when I saw it again, I grabbed it. This is Double Down. This is by Mark Halperin and John Heilman, and this is a story of the second term of Barack Obama. But also, it's also a really energetic and very insider baseball account of the Obama administration just in general. It's a great account of the 2012 campaign, but it's also a great account of Obama. It's not particularly flattering, but it's not particularly flattering to anybody. I mean, nobody comes out of this thing clean. The Clintons, Mitt Romney, Chris Christie, none of them do. So it's been a while since I read it, and of course, things like this are bitterly relevant. So I want to have it. I want to have these first-rate political books. And then the last one for now, this huge mail haul. The last one is a Venice novel. This is David Hewson. This one is called Lucifer's Shadow. He is a fantastic writer at capturing Venice. A lot of people set their fiction in Venice, and so many of them, they clearly have a Baedeker guide open on their writing table and have been no closer to Venice than the southern part of their town. And that is not the case with Hewson. I don't know. Actually, let's find out. Does he live there or not? No, he lives in Kent. He lives in England. However, maybe vacations or just the right wavelength, even not being there. The Venice in his books is terrific, and I don't have. As soon as I saw this, I realized I don't have any David Hewson, and I want them. So just to go on the Venice bookcase. So there you go. I'm not going to make a pile because there's too many of these things, but there's a whole spectrum. There's a bunch of stuff that I'm going to reread. There's a bunch of stuff that in between when I read it and now, something has made me want to reconsider it, and there are a couple of blind gambles, and that's just the way. That's just the mix that I like under any circumstances, but especially when I'm on vacation. So I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I also want to do a couple more videos. So you may see me again. Thank you, BookTube.